Welcome to Seven Figure Chiro, the podcast that is all about taking your chiropractic practice to new financial heights. We're your hosts, Dr. Jeff and Kristin Berard.
And twice a month, we are here to share the insider strategies, tools, and success stories that will help you scale your chiropractic practice to seven figures and beyond.
Whether you're at the start of your journey as an associate or you're ready to take your practice to the next level, we've got expert interviews, strategies, and inspiring stories from chiropractors who have turned their dreams into a reality.
So get ready to take your chiropractic practice to a new level, and let's crush your vision for success.
Welcome to Seven Figure Chiro. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Berard, and I'm along with my wife, Kristin Berard. Kristin.
Hello.
So we had spoke episode 2 a little bit about the Hedgehog Concept. Hopefully we have some return listeners that put together a Hedgehog Concept. If you did not put together a Hedgehog Concept, I will strongly encourage you to Google Hedgehog Concept, come up with what you're most passionate about, what you feel you can be the best in the world at, and what your economic driver is. And where those three circles intersect in a Venn diagram, that's your sweet spot, and that's where you need to focus to make all your decisions. Also, we alluded a little bit to a BHAG. I'm going to talk more about it in this episode, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. That Big Hairy Audacious Goal, I mentioned in the prior episode, I want you to start thinking about it, but that can really be developed after you build a powerhouse team. And that's what this episode is all about, is building an amazing powerhouse team. Kristin and myself, one of our companies, we have maybe 30 something team members, and every single person is very important. They're all key producers. They're all key players. There's no dead weight. If there is dead weight, it's released real quick. I mean to be rigorous when I say that, not ruthless. We got a mission and we need to stick to it. So, the powerhouse team. This is probably one of the most difficult things to implement because as human beings, we tend to hire nice people and we all want nice people to work for us. But nice people don't always equate to productive people. Just because they're nice doesn't mean you put them at the front desk. You know, they need to really excel at a very high level of whatever task that they're set out to do. So I just wanted to start off with that. And I know I'm really guilty of doing that. Our company's guilty of doing that. We hire really nice people. We had a consultant come in and evaluate us one time on how we're doing. And he says, we hire a bunch of Dalmatians, right? Everyone's so nice. And it's great. And I like to think the team members we have still are very nice, but very high producers, and I'm really grateful for them. So we kind of use this framework to develop that powerhouse team. So this is what's important. I mentioned in the prior episode, the who comes before the what. So what that means is you have to build this management team. And a management team, this doesn't, I'm not saying you have to be a big company. A management team can be composed of 2 people. I guess it can be composed of 1 person, and it can be composed of many people. So let's say, you have 6 people on your team, including the chiropractor and all your workers and all that. So you have to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, right? That's Jim Collins saying. So you have to be really, like I said, rigorous but not ruthless when it comes to that. And you have to put a lot of thought into what type of person needs to be in that position. We know everybody needs to be communicative. You need to speak to people and all that, but they have to really, really produce at the task that they're set out to do. So getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. Great companies and great leaders were rigorous, not ruthless in people decision. So there's 3 practical disciplines in becoming rigorous in people decisions. Number 1, when in doubt, don't hire them. They're good, but and there's no but. You're not hiring them, right? That's what I mean by rigorous, not ruthless. If there's any doubt, don't hire. Number 2, when you know you need to make a people change, act immediately. Don't sit there and fester and think they're going to change and it's not going to happen. So if you feel you need to make a people change, make it. Maybe that person doesn't need to leave the company. Maybe they're in the wrong seat in the bus, right? But if you can't find a seat, you got to act right away and you got to make that change because it's like your bus has a flat tire, right? You need to change that and move on. So that's number 2. Number 3, put your best people on your biggest opportunities. What a lot of companies do is they'll put their best people on their biggest problems. That doesn't get us anywhere. So put your best people on your biggest opportunities. Where your company's flourishing the most, put your best people there. The biggest problems, obviously that needs to be addressed, but that can be addressed in many ways. The culture changes, people start dealing with things they don't like dealing with, the passion kind of diminishes. So biggest opportunities, key players are sitting right there. Number 4, a great team consists of people who debate, and we do this in our clinic a lot, who debate rigorously in search of what's the right decision for the company. And once we have a congruence of, an agreement, we unify behind that, and we don't allow any politicking. Like one decision might affect a team member more than others, meaning they might have to work more, they might have to work on a Saturday, or they might have to work later hours and they don't want to. There's no politicking allowed. And if there's a team member that politics, well, they might not be a key player. They might be sitting in the wrong seat. So you need to debate rigorously about decisions moving your company forward to reach this BHAG that we'll talk about. Something with hiring and getting the right people on the bus. And I'm sure Kristin will touch on this. She alludes to this a lot in a lot of our meetings with our companies, is having an integrator and a visionary in your company is absolutely essential. I'm definitely not an integrator. You ask me to do something, it's going to take a long time. Right, Kristin? Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Unless you're really, really good at it, then we assign you to do that task.
Yeah, so I'm a visionary. I come up with ideas. I love ideas. I dream all day. How can, I create this new thing, or how can I improve what we're doing? How can I give the patients just an unbelievable experience? What does that look like? I think about smells in the clinic and just weird stuff. That type of mindset is real important for a clinic to go to new levels. You have to have a visionary, but a business is useless if you don't have an integrator. And I can tell you that because I tried to do both myself for a long time and I didn't go very far. So an integrator is someone that has the ability to take those visions and those ideas and put them on paper so they make sense. They're part of the economic engine. They're part of your Hedgehog concept. They can put together the right team to make that happen, and they can execute at a high level. That's what integrators do. So you have to really be diligent. These are the two most important positions on any team, is having an integrator and a visionary. There's very few people that are both. I don't know the statistics. Maybe you can talk on that.
Yeah, let me comment on that. So really, based on statistics, there are no more than 5% of the population that are visionaries. No more. It's probably even less than that, because
You're talking about visionary,
just a visionary, somebody who is a visionary. There's no more than 5% of the population that's truly, I'm talking about truly being a visionary. I mean, I come up with ideas all the time, but I am not a visionary. I don't have the skills and the tools that you have. And what I would say if somebody's truly not a visionary, that's where a lot of these consultants come in, right? Hiring a consultant to help fill the gaps of being a visionary, because there are a lot of people out there that are workhorses. Like they are workers. They will do the job that they're told to do. They have a hard time coming up with the idea or the job, and they have a hard time making decisions on how to integrate it, but they are great at following, instructions. And so you're this great visionary, and not many people are great at that. You also have to have that integrator, right? And I think we really kind of realized that as we continued to work with each other over the years without wanting to kill each other, because I don't know if there's a lot of husband and wives that are listening to this right now, but it is very difficult to work with your spouse. Jeff and I are really a balance for each other. So we either really drive each other crazy or we really make things work really well. So he comes up with all these ideas, and then I sit there and I have to reflect on, how is this idea or this vision going to play out? Are we going to be able to do this? Is it going to hurt the company? Is it going to help the company? Are we going to have struggles? Who's it going to affect? There's a lot of thinking and planning involved in these visions. And there are some times where I have to say, I just don't think either A, it's going to work right now, or it's best for what we're trying to do within our Hedgehog concept and our BHAG goals, right? So I have to think about those things, and there's financial thoughts and there's team member thoughts and those kind of dynamics. So thinking about those things, and then you have to kind of fill in the rest of the gaps, right? I'm not the only integrator in our clinic and within our clinical business where we have those 30 employees, but you really need, as you get bigger and more employees, you have to have at least one visionary, and then you'll have people that will constantly come up with things and talk about them with the visionary, so that visionary can really put more thought into it. And then you will also have more than one integrator typically in a larger team, but integrators are typically going to be a leader because they have to be able to delegate and they have to be able to be very organized. And if you're not an organized individual, it's not going to be successful for you.
Was that from the E-Myth, the visionary and the integrator?
No, I think that was from the Why. I think it was from Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Oh, okay.
think so. I should probably take a gander at that. In one of the ways we find a lot of these things is we do a lot of reading. Between Jeff and I, we read a lot of leadership and growth books. So you'll see us reflecting on a lot of things that we read, and we kind of put them together like a big old puzzle. So then you have to find the team members, right? So we started with only 4 people in our main clinic, and now we have 30. So as we've thought about our Hedgehog concept and our BHAG, you have to grow, but you have to grow with the right people. So it wouldn't make any sense for me to hire somebody else that can do the job that I need to do if I'm handling that job okay. What we do is we think about what does the business need and what is it lacking in at that time, and in what direction is it going to take us. So sometimes you have to take a chance, and a lot of times people are very worried about taking chances when they go and hire somebody, or they're not willing to pay for somebody who's really qualified when that person is probably going to help you hit your BHAG goal so much quicker. So you do have to take chances, and they have to be very strategic. So we do a lot of talking and reflecting on what our Hedgehog concept is and what our BHAG is in order to fill in those gaps with team members. So when we do that, we talk about that within our leadership team, but it always comes from Jeff and I first, from the visionary and the integrator, and then we take it to certain team members as we need to make decisions.
There you go. I told you she had a lot to say about that. Anyway, as far as, a Powerhouse team, there's obviously a lot more that goes into it than what we just discussed, but I wanted to share with you those 4 points and, those practical disciplines of becoming rigorous in people decisions. And remember, when in doubt, don't hire. Number 2, when you know you need to make a people change, act now. Number 3, put your best people on your biggest opportunities, not your biggest problems. And last, a great team consists of people who debate rigorously in search of the best decisions and unify behind the answers.
So when talking about hiring for your business and as you grow, something that we've definitely learned over the years, Jeff and I have been together for over 15 years now, and we've really kind of managed the businesses well together. We did some work together when we were living in Florida before we sold our businesses in Florida. And then I kind of stepped into our clinics that we have now about 7 years ago. And what we've really found is we've found that when you're desperate and you hire people because you feel like if you don't fill that role immediately, things typically don't work out. Sometimes I have this feeling and belief that things are going to work out when they're supposed to work out. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and going after the goal and not being lazy and really pushing forward, that right person will come along when it's the right time. So if you're not finding that right person, it's probably because it's not the right time. And number 2 is when you're interviewing people tend to say a lot of things that they want you to hear. And when you bring them in, they end up not performing how you expected them to. So you have to be willing to do multiple things. 1, you have to put energy into that person, make sure that person understands what their expectations are, give them the tools that they need in order to be successful, and know that you are a leader. You have to work with them and you have to have patience. But at the same time, if they are not taking the tools that you're giving them and using them properly and excelling and have initiative, that person probably is not going to work out. So it's really good to evaluate with people and meet with them after 30 days of employment. I like to say 80 days of employment, because once you get to that 3 months of employment, then you start dealing with some other issues, because you may have unemployment if that person leaves abruptly, or there's other different things that maybe they've really kind of set foot in your business and made an impact. So evaluating them at 30 days and meeting with them, and then also at 80 days to make sure that this person's really on the right path. And then if they play a really important role in your business, I would say that meeting with them every 6 months is really important to make sure that everybody's on the same page, but at least doing yearly evaluations where you can sit down and talk about the past year's performance. And also it gives you a chance to learn what that person's goals are, so that you, like Jeff, as a visionary, can think about how can we improve this person and help them reach their goals. And I, as an integrator, can work with Jeff on those visions to help that person reach their goal, because they will be so much better and perform so much better in your clinic or in your business if you're helping them reach their goals than if they feel like they're kind of left off on an island having to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah. And, there's nothing wrong with being completely honest when, I don't do all the interviews in my office, but sometimes I do. It depends on what position's being filled. And one of the things is, I think extremely important is instead of being really blasé about it, like, oh, are you available at this time? Do you want to live here? These types of things. I'm just really brutally honest and say, hey, listen, dude, I'm looking to get the right people on the bus, the key positions on the bus, and those that aren't participating, I'm looking to get them off the bus. And this bus is going to go really fast. It's going to be hard to hang on, but I'm looking for people that are willing to take the challenge and are willing to grow to crazy heights where we're going to take this company. So if you internally, if that fears you, and if you feel like you don't have what it takes to really grind out, this isn't a position for you. I'm telling you that right now. And if you're not willing to work more than you earn before you earn more than you work, this isn't a position for you either. Any questions with that? You just have to set it up and be right on the spot with what you're thinking. Sometimes what you're thinking isn't what you want to say, but you know what? You got to be honest with them and tell them exactly what you want from day one, so you don't give them false expectations.
Also, in interviews, probably in the past 5 to 6 years, really talked about the Hedgehog Concept and the big Hairy Audacious Goal, because I think what that does is it gives people an idea of really who you are and that you actually do have a vision for this business. You're just not coming to work every single day to make money and just to see people. Like, there is a vision, there's something to work for. There's more out there. And I think people who have goals and want to do more in life and grow as an individual, both as a person and professionally, you will attract the right people if they think like you and also want very similar things.
So go out there. You guys know what's needed to be done to be rigorous but not ruthless when making people decisions, getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus. We talked about previous episode, the Hedgehog Concept. One of the things I'll touch on briefly is the BHAG, the Big Hairy Audacious Goal. I think once you produce your team, you have a team in place. Those that are key players, they're stoked to be on your team. They're excited to not reach goals for you. They're excited because they're passionate about the why behind your goals. Then you can, as a team, develop your big, hairy, audacious goal. So I ask all of you to do that. One of our small businesses, our BHAG is to be the most trusted and respected chiropractic clinic and to reach revenue of $5 million by 2030. And we're on track to do that. That's our BHAG. You would have asked me that 5 years ago. I would have said no way. But, we stayed true to our Hedgehog Concept. So I hope this resonates with you. I would love to hear from any listeners in regards to maybe what your Hedgehog Concept looks like. For those of you that are interested in maybe learning a little more about the business model that we implement in one of our clinics, we'd love to share that with you as well.
And you can go to our website and fill out a contact form.
Okay. What's the website?
sevenfigurechiro.com.
All right. Well, I'm Dr. Jeff Berard. This is the Seven Figure Chiro Podcast. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep up the good fight.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Seven Figure Chiro.
We hope you're walking away with some valuable insights to apply to your practice.
Remember, building a seven-figure practice doesn't happen overnight, but with the right strategies and mindset, it's absolutely within your reach.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow chiropractors who are on the same path.
And be sure to join us the next episode for more strategies, bring clarity to your vision, and elevate your financial practice to success.
Until then, keep pushing forward and making an impact.